Welcome again in another lecture of social science. This is economics chapter number 2, which we have already started. One video is already finished of this chapter, and in previous video we had discussed sectors of the Indian economy, and during that video, that discussion, we have studied what are the major sectors of Indian economy, and the sectors which we had studied are primary sector, secondary sector and tertiary sector. While our discussion, we also have discussed what is the contribution of those various sectors in GDP of India. We also have studied what is the importance of those sectors, how those sectors are different than each other. And in last page of previous lecture, we had studied that how these sectors have contributed in providing job opportunities to Indian people. While discussion, if you remember, we have we have explained with the help of some diagrams and graphs that how primary sector is a very important sector as far as generating opportunities of job is concerned. No doubt, tertiary sector is also important, secondary sector is also important, but secondary and tertiary sectors, they have their best contribution in to nation's total income, whereas primary sector is very important in job generating sector. We have seen in previous chapter that it's more than 50% people are engaged in agriculture, or in another words we can say that more than 50% people of India, they are dependent on agriculture. But here I would like to focus that 50% plus people, they are engaged in agriculture sector. Does it mean all the people are getting satisfactory employment? And the answer is not. It's true that most of people are engaged in agriculture sector, but they are not satisfied. Not satisfied in the sense, if suppose it's a 10-acre land, and in this 10-acre land, if suppose in particular family there are 7 members, for this 10-acre land, 7 members are working with full time. And the fact is this, for this 10 acres land, 7 members are not needed. Even if it is 5 members, then for this 10 acres, 5 members are enough to work and to cultivate that land. It means 2 people, they are extra for this land. Means 2 people, they do not have actual actual employment, but still they are dependent on that agriculture. This type of dependency, it's known as underemployed or underemployment. If we wish to define it, say that underemployment is hidden in contrast to someone who does not have a job and is clearly visible as unemployed. Hence it is called a disguised employment also. This disguised employment you will not find only in agriculture. You can also find it in urban areas. Means there are in urban areas too. There are many people we can see around. These people, they are, for example, there are some casual workers. They may be painters, plumbers, repair person, or they are doing some or other odd jobs. And these are people, just namesake, they have some or other job or some or other shop or services, but many times they are not able to fulfill the basic needs. Many times it's observed that they are not able to achieve target of their selling or their earning, and this type of employment is known as disguised employment, and it is at both the places. It is in the rural also and it's in urban area also. Now we will move further that if it is a position of people in India, that unemployment is a major issue, and to overcome this issue of unemployment, it's no doubt its government has to take some initiatives. And so for this purpose, then government has always some or other plannings to fulfill need of these unemployed people. So how to create more employment? It's always a big challenge before government. And government has, for this purpose, they have set a planning commission, as already I have explained you about. And it's a planning commission's role that to study the available resources, available population, and accordingly they suggest government that what can be done. For example, a planning commission in India has suggested that at present, means from age group of 5 to 29, this population is about 60%, and you will surprised to listen, this age group 5 to 29, it is expected that in this year they should associate with some or other institution, education institution. But the shocking thing is this, that out of this population, means almost 51% people, they are not associated associated with any of the educational institution, then where does this population group goes? It's clear cut that these people either they are working somewhere or as a child labor, or they are working somewhere in unorganized sector. So this planning commission they have studied. This is planning commission, today we call them Niti Aayog also, NITI. It's Niti Aayog also, and they have as per their survey and research that if suppose in educational system itself, we in India we have educational system, and if we go for some upgradation in educational system, then we can construct some school buildings, then we can give appoint some new teachers, and we can have some resources related to education. If we could make these resources available, then 20 lakhs jobs can be generated only in education system. This is a fact. So that if suppose government go with some proper plannings, proper ideas, then n number of jobs in the can be generated in various sectors, and people they can fulfill their needs. Even government, this even planning commission also suggested that India has a huge scope in the sector of tourism also. Yes, we have mountains, we have hill stations, we have beaches, we have historical places, we have religious places, and if suppose government of India focus in these sectors, and if suppose we developed for these sectors, then even some 35 lakh jobs can be easily made available in this sector. This government of India, it is answerable to the people, and government always take initiatives for generating various jobs. And even government of India also adopted right to work. Accordingly, government of India has assured almost in 625 districts of the nation that a person who wish and who can do job, discharge any type of job, and expecting any employment, that government has guaranteed that person that yes, he will get job. This scheme had started in 2005-2015 under Manrega. Manrega means Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Act, and under this act, any person of India, any citizen of India who has caliber to work and who wish to work, it's government's responsibility to give that person a job minimum for 100 days out of 1 year. And if suppose due to any reason government fails to give employment to that concerned person, then it's government's duty to provide unemployment allowances to that person. So these are some of the initiatives government has already taken. If suppose in our surrounding we can see various type of people, various type of groups, okay, and if we divide as per this, then there are two major categories: the organized and unorganized sectors. Now we should study what is organized sector and what is unorganized sector. Students, we in your surrounding or around us, we see various type of employees, various type of servicemen. They are busy in some other services. For example, some people working in railways, some people working in government bankings and hospitals and government institutions, whereas many people we find they are not associated to any of these government institutions, and they are working with contractors, they are working in shops, and they are working in the as a sellers and shopkeepers. So if we study these two categories carefully, we can say that there are some people means they are working in the institution, that institution follow the terms and guidelines suggested by government of India. They are the people, those who are working in the institutions, those institutions are registered to government of India. So this type of job, this type of sector is known as organized sector. The people, those who are associated to organized sector, comparatively their jobs are safe. In a year, their jobs, they have their confirmed jobs. I mean, in a year, how many days they have to work, it is sure. They have limitations of hours, means how many hours they will be at their working places. At the same time, means they are applicable to enjoy government holidays, they are applicable to enjoy casual leaves, medical leaves, they get PF facility also. After their retirement, they get pension plan also, they get some other allowances also. These are all the things, these are all the facilities provided to the people only in organized sector. So comparatively organized sector is a safe sector for employees. But the record says, the data says that people who are engaged in organized sector is very less in number, whereas most of the people in India, most of the workers in India, they are dependent in unorganized sector. So we need to see here what is this unorganized sector. Unorganized sector, as I told you, there are many people, those who are busy in some or other work. These services, these jobs we call casual workers or casual services. In casual services they are busy, and all the features I have explained of organized sector, these features are not at all applicable in unorganized sector. And this unorganized sector you will find in villages also, you will find in cities also. For example, the workers or laborers, they are working for landlords or for big farmers, they are working on daily wages. Okay, suppose in a week they will work, they will go for 4 days or 5 days for their work, and accordingly they will get their salary. If suppose they do not attend their job for 2 days in a week, they will not pay for this. The same way, if suppose somebody is sick or admitted in hospital, they will not get salary for those period when they were in hospitalized. Apart from this, they are not sure about their salary, their provident fund, their pension, and nothing is given. This is known as unorganized sector. In unorganized sector, as I told you, you can notice in villages also, you can notice in cities also. For example, people those who are working with contractors, with builders, in various hotels and shops, and at many places, they are the people, we can call them as unorganized sector people. Okay, we also can categorize this as per the these jobs in to another sector, that is a public sector and private sector. Public sector means a sector which associated, which is under control of government. There are various services. These services are government services, and the people, those who are working in this sector, are known as government employees. Wherever government companies are there, government sectors are there, their profit is not a priority. Where people are working, and the output of this or the finished good which is been obtained from this, it is used for the welfare of people. For example, government schools, government hospitals, then government transportation, then another services of government sectors. Whereas in private sectors there are some companies like suppose for example Tisco, Reliance Group of Institution, Bajaj, and so many companies. These are the companies which own and managed by private individuals, where people are working. This sector is known as private sector. Private sector's main aim that this sector is working for the benefit, where welfare of the people is at least priority. Fine, anyway, we have discussed these are some of the features in this chapter. We'll continue tomorrow with another chapter. Thank you for today.